Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day to every single one of you, and good night if you're listening to this at night, wherever you are right now. Welcome back to Heck versus Hell, where the truth we tell. I am your host, Hector Rivera, and today is a great day, just as every single day before and every single day to come, Lord willing. You are hearing this 5 days after it is recorded. Today is Monday, September 4th, Labor Day for America. And it's a good day. It's a really good day. Everything is quiet. Beautiful time to record. It's very peaceful. Nobody's moving around. Surprisingly, a lot of people celebrate Labor Day. And I guess that just comes with most of the economy and how everything is guided by the country that you're living in. But you know us, we don't take any days off. So today is another day, is just another day. And for most of you in the country, it's just another day as well. And we should always be grateful for it and spending it to the best of our ability. So today, we are going to talk about a topic in which I know you need to hear. And I have to talk about this because you right there listening to this right now, you right there listening to it in your earphones, you right there listening to it in your car, you right there listening to it while you're cooking, you while you're driving, you while you're taking a little jog, you while you're in class. I'm upset with you because it seems like you don't understand the message whenever I tell you you are a mini creator. I'm upset with you because you don't believe it. And that's my way of holding you accountable. So you can go and focus on it and start meditating on it and start believing it. Because if you don't believe it, I could tell you 1,010 times, but it's not until you believe it that it becomes true. You see, we all have our own realities. Every single person has their own realities. Even when it comes to people that are considered mentally ill in the sense of schizophrenia, in the sense of seeing things other people don't see, in the sense of believing themselves to be something that other people do not perceive them as. Everybody has their own reality. And we are made that way. We are made to have a limitless reality and a limitless imagination. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% true because we have our own reality, because nobody's reality is perfect. It's simple as that. Nobody's reality is perfect. We all have certain beliefs because our reality is created from our beliefs. And we all have certain beliefs that should not be there, myself included. I have beliefs that I know I need to change. And there are other beliefs where I don't know I need to change, but I soon uncover them. Because one belief that I had recently found out maybe 2 days ago, something like that, I found out that within myself, I have a huge fear of rejection. And not just the simple type of like, I'm scared people are going to say no, but as a child, I grew up with parents that were separated. And when that had happened, we had stayed with my dad. My dad worked really early and got back home really late. So he was gone all day. And my aunt, his sister, had ended up coming to live with us, taking care of us, all that good stuff. And she was under a lot of stress. She only had 2 children. So taking on 5 of us on top of that and being basically the only parent, it was really stressful to her. And I understand that now. But she was so stressed out to the point where she almost had to have that micro control, that extreme amount of control because of the stress that she was having, because she didn't have a lot of control on her own life, and she was thrown into a situation as gracious and as beautiful of a decision that it was, I knew that's not what she would have wanted. If it was up to her, that wouldn't have happened. But regardless the fact, it came to the point where she was our main dictator. She was the one that created the rules. She was the one that did all this. And it almost reminds you of like that. I don't know if any of you have seen that one movie. I think it's called Matilda or something like that, where they have that one really mean teacher. But she's a very nice lady. She's great. But when it comes to anybody under stress, and especially that amount of stress, you get ornery. You get to step outside of yourself. And what had ended up happening is she would go, and instead of just telling us no, she would literally reprimand us. Like, we were to the point where we couldn't watch TV, we couldn't have phones, we couldn't even go outside to play as children because of how much stress she was under. Looking at it now, that's why it was. I always saw her as like an evil lady because my limited perception as a child, right? So I uncovered and realized that one of my own beliefs was, if I ask, it's either going to be a no or it's going to be a really bad reprimandation, to where I'm feeling bad about myself for even thinking that thought, whatever it may have been, for even wanting to go play outside. I'm a bad kid. I'm a bad kid because I want to play outside. So that's kind of the understanding that I had, and I carried it on to my adulthood. And that's incredible to look at because of how bad life scars you, how bad we are tainted by everything that goes on, by everything that happens in our childhood. And all it has to really do is because of our limited perception as children. So that's one belief that I have to change, and I'm recently just started working on it. So that's still in progress, a work in progress. And the main way to do it would just be to first off acknowledge, feel it, because I now that I found the problem, it's halfway solved. So the next steps would be to meditate on it and have a counteractance, forgive her for being under that type of stress and ended up traumatizing us as children, and moving past it, letting it go fully. So that's the steps that I need to take within myself for that. But whenever you look at it, we all have situations like that. We all have situations that end up traumatizing us one way or another. And it doesn't have to be even a severe type of trauma. As children too, I've mentioned this before, but let's say a parent goes and leaves you at a grocery store by accident, or you're just in the second aisle next over to them. You start panicking. You start feeling like you just got left alone. You're going to die. Now you don't know where you're at. You don't know where your parents are at. You're in an unfamiliar place and you're just scared, panicking. Your survival instincts kick in. Your adrenaline is just going. You don't know what's going on. And it leads to trauma. So now later down the line, you're to the point of where you're so codependent, you're so clingy to a person, and you depend on other people for your value because you don't want to feel that feeling again. You don't know that you are worth it. You don't know that that was a situation that actually tainted the way you should be viewing life, and you shouldn't be dependent on other people, but you don't know that because we had a limited perception and we don't ever dive back into our memories where we should. And that's one of the main things too, is even as children, we have such a vivid imagination where that's really where the majority of our reality is created. As children, our imagination is limitless. It's limitless. You have dreams that people, less than 0.1% of the population in the world, even want to attain, let alone accomplish. You have those type of dreams. You have dreams of doing this and that. You have huge, immense goals that you are not even afraid of. Goals that a person that's well off would be scared to even shoot for.
Please listen to this special announcement. For the past few months, our DDC and Flip the Switch have been working on something amazing for your spiritual, mental, and emotional growth that can be brought into your physical worlds. And that is the FDS Think and Grow Rich Execution Style Masterclass, which doors are now open. Not only will you gain the clarity, insight, and blueprint form of what you need, along with the enlightenment you've been waiting for, but we are also rewarding you beyond your wildest dreams. That is definitely right. Rewarding you for not only taking the first step into creating a new life and new vision for yourselves and those connected to you, but also rewarding you with an excursion to live out your new hopes and dreams, to rewrite the chapters from your newfound level of life, all while relaxing and enjoying the moment where someone actually spoils you for you taking the initiative to change the game upon your own journey. So, if you want to find out more, we'll have a link provided on all our broadcast channels as well as our blog spot and www.realdoubledosechannel.com so you can get all the insights on how to sign up and get started today. And if you are a business influencer, entrepreneur, or anything under the sun that serves others, you might also want to check this out as well. So you can offer these special packages to give to your clients, friends, customers, students, and loved ones. We'll see you on the flip side. And now back to your favorite show with the RDDC's Double Dose wonderful broadcast channel.
The imagination is limitless as a child, and it's not until you start sharing that imagination with others and sharing what you see and what your reality is that it begins to start being limited. That's why this is such a beautiful title in which this episode is named Limited Abundance. Oh, and I'm going to go into that right now, because when we have such a perception in which everything is possibility, everything is opportunity, the way you live your world is so much different than the way you're living it now. As children, so many children are just jolly and happy. It's those children that have already gone through those experiences that limited their imagination and took away their childhood that don't get to experience that true form of childhood. And those are the ones that are most likely to find it whenever they are grown up. And that's not to say, oh, you're a child that never grew up, because we should all be his children. We should all have that type of perception and imagination of just believing that anything is possible, truly believing it, not just saying it, not just a mantra, but actually embodying it and living forward and pushing forward to that. So we just need to start building on abundance. And that's one of the main things whenever you find any type of show that has to do with personal growth, personal development, self-growth, self-help, anything. You start looking at all these types of ways to change your help. And one of the main things people teach is mantras, is things you tell yourself. And if you look at it, the reason that people say that, affirmations, things like the auto suggestions, whenever you look at affirmations, it says, okay, I am handsome. For me, for example, I am handsome. I am incredibly handsome. I am top 5% of handsomeness in the world. Whatever my affirmation would have been if I had gone down that route. If I had done that, I would have ended up thinking, okay, well, I'm saying I'm handsome. Now my mind begins to go and think, well, why am I handsome? What about me is handsome? What about me is attractive? And I start going and I start pointing out little details. Oh, well, you do got some really good eyes. Oh, well, you got some nice teeth. Oh, you got dimples. Those are some nice dimples. So you start talking to yourself like that. So what that does is you start seeing the results. Your focus is starting to be put on why that is true. Okay, even if it's a lie. If you focus on a lie, you're going to get a lie. So whenever you start focusing on what is true or what you want to be true, it becomes true. That's why beliefs don't just happen overnight, but they actually take a series of time. That's why in previous episodes we talk about a blank canvas and writing over a canvas that has already been painted on, because there's a difference in what is already there. Whenever you already believe, okay, well, I am not handsome, or I am ugly, or I am very not attractive, whatever it may be, you have to override that belief. And that's a lot more work. So the focus is the way to change it. Okay? Stay with me here. So whenever I ask you, let me ask you a question. Tell me why you were not beautiful. Tell me why you were not successful. Tell me why you don't have the relationship you want. Tell me why you feel as though your life sucks. I'm going to give you a moment while I drink my lemonade water. Now, if you just went and your mind started thinking of all these different situations, these things you could actually tell me, that right there is proof that we live in abundance. So the title limited abundance is the limitation you placed on yourself by the confines in which you chose to put on. Because you just gave me an abundance of excuses, an abundance of reasons why XYZ. You gave me all of that. Your mind is already in abundance. It's just what you focus on, because you can have an abundance of lack. And that's the thing that depression is what I came to realize is the focus of lack. Whenever you're depressed, you're focusing on what you're lacking. You're focusing on what you don't have, whether it's relationships, love, happiness, uh, contentment, lack of beauty, even within yourself, lack of a person that you may have missed, whatever it may be. Depression comes from the perspective of lack. But even in that perspective of lack, you still have abundant thoughts. You still have thoughts in abundance. You still have so many thoughts that reinforce that lack so much. So your mind is constantly in abundance. So you need to have abundance of thoughts on the abundance that you have. And that is the key perspective that I found out within myself that I had to change. That's really what pulled me out of my own depression. Was whenever I had that time, I've said it before plenty of times, whenever I had that time in jail and I was able to focus on getting out of myself, on focus on the good that goes on in my life, focus on what I took for granted while I was behind bars, even as little as a comfortable blanket, because those wool blankets, there's something else, to be honest with you. But it's just our thoughts. Our thoughts are where the abundance come from. That's why that one sequence, that one book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, is such a powerful book that the most influential people have either read or embodied, because that book tells you all the principles in which I'm talking about, and it allows you to learn how to embody them. That's why I'm just so pushing forward for each and every one of you to take a chance. And actually, let me make this announcement right now, because I just remembered we're going to have a semi-beta testing when it comes to that. We want to do like a giveaway for it. And when it comes to that Think and Grow Rich course that we have, because what we did with that was we turned it into an execution style take on it. That's what Flip the Switch is all about. Is just executing, and just snap of a finger when you turn the lights on is just on, off. That's what Flip the Switch is. It's just execute, execute, execute. So we had talked about it, and we're gonna do like a beta testing on it just to get some people on, just to be able to spread the blessing. I would love to invite you on, and we will have a little fee as a term of your commitment. We're only going to take on 20 people, but we will put it at a $97 price point to see your commitment, because we're going to put in our work as well. We're going to be on there making sure that you're getting the help you need, making sure that you're going to be able to execute on what we have structured. There's a whole execution book that I personally, don't mean to brag, but I personally created myself based on the training guide. So it's a really, really deep and precise execution take on the book that everybody knows and loves. And it's a 4 week course. It's over the course of 4 weeks that you do it, and it truly changes your life. Like, it'll help you embody everything that I'm talking about and even understand it more, because I realize that a lot of what we talk about, Lex and I, is in that book. Like, we didn't even, well, I didn't really know how deep that book was until I started getting into it. And I'm like, whoa, this is what we talk about. This is what we know. This is what we found out in our own lives. And it's that it's those situations where we're like, oh yeah, we need to share this. We need to share this with the world and have that type of take on it, because let's be honest, a lot of us aren't reading books. A lot of us are not reading any books, and we won't take the time of day to do it at all. I have a book that I've kind of put on hold, and I've just been a little slow with, that I should have been finished a long time ago. And I have excuses, I could give you 1,000 excuses, but to be honest, I'm just not setting apart the time to be able to read. I set apart time to pray, to do Bible study, to write notes, and to eat everything, but I'm not setting aside time to actually pray. So, I mean, to read. So, yeah, there's no excuse to it. I haven't gotten around to reading a lot. I don't set time apart for it. And a lot of you may have the same situation where you just, hey, well, yeah, I really just don't set time apart. So that's why we turned it into an execution style take on it, because it's almost like, as you are getting into the foundations and principles that book teaches, you're beginning to understand and change at the same time to implement what is already there. And then we help you, because of that book, the execution book. It goes and it basically gives you the steps in which to take and how to take it specifically for you, because it's, a work along. So I just want to give you an invitation to that. Like I said, we're only taking on 20 people, and we will have a commitment fee. Right now, we have it priced at $700, and it's valued at thousands of dollars. But we have it at $700. We're gonna raise it to 1,000 pretty soon. But that's why we're like, okay, let's just do something. Let's do a little beta testing for it, and that's what we have going on. So I would love to invite some of you onto that. We're going to have other people that already want to get on. So hit us up on the email. Let us know that you are interested and you want to be a part of it, because there's not going to be any ads out here. There's not going to be any type of, like, you literally have to take the steps forward. We're not going to have a link in the description like we will with the event that we're going to have on September 21st, with certain other giveaways that we're going to be having going on here in the near future. But to show us your commitment, that's the steps we want you to take. If you're serious about it, reach out to us. Reach out to us on the flip the switch at reborn.com. That one is less saturated with a lot of business inquiries. So if you want to reach out to us about that and show us you're committed and want to be a part of it, which is going to be awesome, we want to invite you, and reach out to us at Flip the Switch. That's FLIPDARE. Wait, I messed up. FLIPDASWITCH at reborn.com. That's where I was getting into the RE. But yeah, we want to invite you onto that. if you do want to do this and start thinking in abundance, that wasn't even the turn I was going to go into. I was actually going to go into a different conversation, but I had to put that in there really quick. And to get back onto the topic of conversation of how we think in abundance, I want to take a turn really quick, because whenever you look at this is another analysis that we had done, is if you really step back and pay attention to what's really going on, you realize that certain countries, certain places, anywhere that wants control, anywhere that's trying to strive for power over people, they will have a means in which to try to control you. And that's by putting perceptions in your mind, or putting false, just straight up lies in your mind. And with America, especially, this, I hope this episode doesn't get canceled or try to get thrown away or dug under the rug, whatever it may be. If you look at America, I was born and raised here, but for some reason I just never had a deep connection to it. And if you look at it, you start to see that they try to put so many things to bog you down from who you truly are. And one of the main things that America loves putting forward, Hollywood, right, is lust. So that's either lust of the eyes, where you go and you're just lusting for how a man or a woman should be or look, and you're just lusting for that person. They're over here over sexifying, sexualizing certain people and certain standards of what that person should look like. That's where we had a conversation on The Ugly Duckling, where we talked about the 666. You know, you got to be 6 feet tall with a six packs, making six figures a year. And it's that whole thing. Like, how much more clear can it be, right? But you go and you look deeper, and it's not even just that. It's the lust of success as well, the lust of a certain type of home, the lust of a certain type of fame, a certain amount of money, just all these types of lust that you are portrayed to have want. You are lusting over another person's standard of success. If it's not lust, they're trying to put glutton on you, or make you sloth, to where you have so much things around you, so much things doing your job, so many reasons and excuses why you shouldn't be doing something, to where you just become lazy. And that sloth is also with all these types of social medias that are just injected into the society, injected into our being, into our children even. All these types of things that just bog us down and deter us from who we're supposed to be, deter us from what we are supposed to do and where we're supposed to go. So whenever we start looking at this, and not only that, but there's glutton as well. There's glutton, there's fear, which is one of the biggest factors in which they use. And that's just putting on even fake news. Like the president himself, Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump, even if you may not agree with me. I love Donald Trump because of how real he was, because of how raw he was. You know, everybody has their faults, absolutely. But as the president, he was the one that stood up the most on his beliefs. So I do love that about him. And even he would talk about how the news was fake, how the news was portrayed and put out propaganda. You know, propaganda was something that was created intentionally for spreading fake stories, fake results, for trying to put out either something to distract you from a truth, or put out something that will lead you down another belief. And another thing of those is fear. They talk about certain things on the news that provoke fear. And if you've ever watched The Truman Show, it's a movie with Jim Carrey, and it's about his life, like from the day he's born, and they just create a reality. Like they create a world where he's just living in. Everybody else is actors. His best friend, his mom, his wife. Everybody is an actor. And he's the only real person. That show runs 24/7. They're just constantly recording him. And it's all scripted out. There's a director and everything. You should definitely watch that movie if you haven't seen it. The Truman Show with Jim Carrey. And whenever you start looking at that movie, they even once he starts wanting to leave, once he starts wanting to leave the place in which they grew him up on, they put so much fear in the way. They start trying to inject fear into him so he won't move, so he could stay stagnant. And it's really deep because that's exactly how certain people are. And to get a little political here, we could start going into how South Korea runs their people. There's the dictators over there where they actually go and tell people they are so he's a prime example. Those dictators are prime examples of how they work. I can't speak for all of them. I'm not too familiar with it, but what I do know about it is that they go and they're able to prove certain things, and this is how lies work. So this right here is not only teaching you abundance, but it's also teaching you spiritual warfare. Okay, so whenever you're looking at a 1+1, let's say, the way that they proved that the Western society is liars, so they could have more control. Like, here, I'm the one telling you the truth. That's what people do. Once you trust them, you believe them. So that's what they try to do, and that's what they would do to their people. They're like, here, let me prove to you that 1+1 is not one. So the way they did it is they would grab one water drop and have another one next to it, and they would mix them together, and it would be one. So they're like, see, 1+1 does not equal 2. And that's how he was able to prove it. So once they start doing those little things, just those little shows, that's why we can't believe everything that we see, because our eyes are very deceptive. We have such a limited perspective. And even in a situation like that, if you didn't know any better, if you were in that situation, guarantee you 100% you would have been in the same mindset of believing, okay, well, Western society is lying and 1+1 really does not equal 2. Because another thing too that you've seen, if you look up people getting interviewed or going into South Korea, or excuse me, North Korea. So if you go and you look up interviews of people getting into North Korea, I think I said South Korea a little while ago, but North Korea, you go and you start seeing how they actually operate. And there was this one guy that went over there, and he was with a tour guide, and he was trying to tell him, he's like, your dictator, president, I can't remember what he said, something about him. He was telling her, the guide, about how they were lying, and he said, no, our president, our dictator, I can't remember what they call him, he loves basketball. And he's like, oh, we love basketball too. Yeah, we created that, or something like that. He's like, see, your dictator loves basketball, and we created that. He's like, so he was trying to show them how that dictator has an influence on the Western society. And what she responded with was, he created basketball. So Western society stole it from him. And that's how hard people have a pledge of loyalty, not only loyalty, but a pledge of trust towards somebody. And in certain countries like that, whenever you go and you starve your people, you they don't have time to focus on political issues. They don't have time to be told otherwise. They are broken already. They have bigger problems of just trying to survive, to where they don't have the time to try to put their perception into play and try to see what's really true. And on the opposite side of that, in America, they just overfill you with so much things that they manipulate you in that way. that they just constantly give you. And the crazy thing about that is I've almost had that was kind of what my childhood was both sides of that spectrum, because with my dad and living with him, I didn't have anything. I like it looked like I had lack because I was getting the bare minimum, and I didn't get time to spend with my dad. I didn't get time to play outside. I didn't get time to enjoy my childhood like that. And that's how it was. I was almost starved as affection as a kid, you could say. And then with my mother, she just overfilled us with whatever we had. Everything was always yes. We would just constantly get, and I had to find that balance within myself. And that was the stage in which I really had to mature, is seeing that it was perfectly placed, so I could see both sides of the extremities, so I could have that balance. And it's what really led me to mature really, really much more quickly than the average person. And that's all coming from the mindset and the beliefs of what we believe to be true. Is we have such a trust in words and beliefs and thoughts that other people place in us, because both of their ways were wrong, and those are my parents. Imagine the amount of trust I had for them. Imagine the things that I believed that they told me. There was a point where my dad literally crushed our dreams by saying, I had dreams. He was drinking, and he said, I had dreams of coming over here, getting a Lamborghini XYZ, and I got stuck with your mother. That never happened. And his belief ended up changing from abundance, because whenever he moved over here, he was like, what, 18, 17? He had his first kid at 19. He just immediately started living in surviving. He shifted from imagination to surviving. And that was from the experiences and from the life he started living in. He started being of the world. He limited his own imagination. So he was no longer playing it as a form of abundance, but he was living in survival. He was living in providing, in doing what he has to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Those are some of the strongest men. My dad is one of the strongest men I know. But his imagination was crushed, and he really could have crushed mine too, because he wanted me to go into certain types of jobs and have that safety, go to college, well, finish school first, go to college, get a job that pays really well, so I wouldn't be like him, so I wouldn't go down the same path as him. And that's an issue, because people have such a limited mindset where they don't even realize that they're limiting their children. You are so incredibly limiting their children. That's one thing that I'm afraid of. I was talking to my brother yesterday, my brother Pius. I'm gonna have him on here soon, and we're gonna have a conversation for you guys. But I was talking to him yesterday, and I told him about how I was scared to be a dad, because I don't want to limit their beliefs, but at the same time, I can't wait for it. And it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be a whole different journey, and learning from children as well. You should actually take the time to learn from children, because the joy that they bring to this world, the knowledge that they bring to this world is unlike any other. The way you should live your life should even be similar to a child. So there's just so many things that we just have to look at and try to focus and find out for yourself, where is your limited abundance? Where are you limiting yourself to create the abundance that you deserve? Because abundance is easy. Abundance is everything. It's knowing that you have access to all. That's what abundance is. Knowing that you have access to all. And if you're a mini creator created in the image of the creator of all things, why shouldn't you have abundance? If you are his child, if you are created in that image. That's why I had to start the conversation with I have a bone to pick with you because we have to look at it as such. So I really hope this message gives you a thought-provoking way to look at yourself and to analyze yourself. And once again, if you do want to join us, join us. Join us so we can help you if you're truly committed and want to change.
Please listen to this special announcement. For the past few months, our DDC and Flip the Switch have been working on something amazing for your spiritual, mental, and emotional growth that can be brought into your physical worlds. And that is the FDS Think and Grow Rich Execution Style Masterclass, which doors are now open. Not only will you gain the clarity, insight, and blueprint form of what you need, along with the enlightenment you've been waiting for, but we are also rewarding you beyond your wildest dreams. That is definitely right. Rewarding you for not only taking the first step into creating a new life and new vision for yourselves and those connected to you, but also rewarding you with an excursion to live out your new hopes and dreams, to rewrite the chapters from your newfound level of life, all while relaxing and enjoying the moment where someone actually spoils you for you taking the initiative to change the game upon your own journey. So, if you want to find out more, we'll have a link provided on all our broadcast channels as well as our blog spot and www.realdoubledosechannel.com so you can get all the insights on how to sign up and get started today. And if you're a business influencer, entrepreneur, or anything under the sun that serves others, you might also want to check this out as well. So you can offer these special packages to give to your clients, friends, customers, students, and loved ones. We'll see you on the flip side. And now back to your favorite show with the RDDC's Double Dose wonderful broadcast channel.
Join us so we can grow together and we can become greater together. Because even myself, I'm always striving for better. Once you stop growing, you stop living. That's the truth of life. So always continue to grow. Always continue to analyze and fix yourself and grow in abundance. Bob Proctor, he lived his life focusing on that book, Think and Grow Rich. He dedicated, over 50 years of practicing and reading just that book, of training people that, teaching people that, and he would still learn something new every time he read it. Even when you listen to a song for 30 times, it may take that 31st time for you to realize, oh man, that was a lyric I have never heard before. And if you're listening to like rap or hip hop, you're like, oh man, that was a bar. It's new, something new every time. It's changing your perception and looking at things from different viewpoints. And I hope that a lot of you listen to these viewpoints that we give you, take them on, and analyze them yourself. I don't want to just have you say, okay, well, trust everything Hector says. No, I want you to go and have that discernment for yourself to be able to analyze if it's true or not. Weigh the truth by yourself. That's what we're preparing you for. You shouldn't have to depend on people. And if the main way you can do it is focus your relationship with the Creator, focus on the spirit within, so you can be in alignment with it and know what is true and what is false. So I hope each and every one of you heard the message. I hope you all grow and continue to strive for greatness that is within you, to continue to take off the garments that cover your soul, that cover your greatness, for greatness is within you. I love each and every one of you. I hope to see you anywhere we're at, anything we're having, all the upcoming events. Ask about what we're gonna do when it comes to that pre-beta testing. Take action. Take action. Because I can give you all the steps you want. I could give you all the knowledge you want to do. But if you're just holding on to that information, it's not going to do anything for you. So even in the last episode, I gave you a challenge to take action. Keep moving forward. I love you all. Like always, we'll catch you on the flip side.